All right, you guys, happy Thursday. I think we are now arriving at the point where we are all realizing that the people who are in power are maybe not telling us the truth about anything at all, not one thing at all. And maybe the people that are in power are the crazy ones. And something that I totally missed that I have to tell you about is that on the day that Brigitte Macron dropped her lawsuit against me, the media reported that she had also lost two people in her immediate family. The timing is extremely odd, and the story is somewhat confusing, but I think we have to cover that. Plus, speaking of the media accusing others of being crazy, and the elites accusing others of being crazy, Ye is in the news, the artist formerly known as Kanye West. He's dropped a trailer for an upcoming documentary, and I have to say, it's pretty inspiring, so welcome back to Candace. Very quickly, I have to say right at the top that I laughed way too hard at this headline. This is the New York Post. It's real, guys. It reads, French President Emmanuel Macron's wife hired private eye to dig into Candace Owens' report. Wow, that really is just so insane. I just never thought that my life would ever end up here, is what I have to say. No matter what you think, when you plan your life, you never think maybe a sitting president of a foreign country is going to hire a private eye to look into me. And what are they finding? Nothing. My life is so boring. I don't know. I picture them going through my trash. I don't know what it is that they are looking for, but it's very clear they are paranoid. I've seen this before. People that commit evil, people that do things that are immoral, they are always paranoid. Very, very paranoid. They always assume that others are capable of doing what they're capable of doing. And they usually perceive some massive plot that's happening. And that's what's happening with the Elysee Palace. They're perceiving a massive plot that just is not so. It's Hitler's bunker, right? I feel like no doubt they're all sitting there. They're like, oh my God, those are the walls of the wall, and this person's connected, and this person's, and it's all happening, and it's a state level attack, and it's Russia. It's not. I'm sorry, guys. But I gotta tell you the story because it's amazing. Stop everything. You're not going to believe me because it is a never-ending saga, a never-ending strange tale. And of course, it only gets stranger when it comes to the Macrons. So it was, just to remind you, July 23rd. That was the date that Brigitte Macron delivered her lawsuit to me, or rather delivered her lawsuit to the Financial Times to break the story. And then I got a copy of it. Anyways, obviously, there was global media coverage, wall to wall from here to China, like never before. Everyone is covering this because no one has ever seen it. We made history. Really, like, we'll look back and one small thing that happened in Candace's basement is a giant step or leap for mankind or something. I think that's what they'll probably say. And of course, because it was so crazy and wall to wall, people were not paying attention to other smaller stories that may have been about Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron also. And there was one on the very same day. Another pretty big event took place, or rather a pretty big event broke in the press pertaining more to Brigitte, and it was buried. And I'm going to tell you what it was while we were distracted by the lawsuit. The news was that two people in Brigitte Macron's immediate family had died, okay? And I want to be very clear up top here. There are conflicting reports. Obviously, we have a language barrier here. A lot of conflicting details about how it happened, but we tried to source the most reliable one, which would have been, French press. And then we took a look at Hola magazine. This is the headline that appeared in Hola magazine. You can see that it is dated July 23rd, and it tells us that Brigitte Macron mourns sister and niece in heartbreaking double tragedy. First thing I can tell you about that headline beneath it, a subheading rather, is that the names that are in the subheading are actually inaccurate. Elsewhere in the Hola article, they correct that. So that may have just been a legitimate mistake. But like I said, there were a lot of mistakes across the press. But it tells us elsewhere that Brigitte Macron is going through a very difficult time, probably one of the hardest moments of her life. The French First Lady is recently facing the heartbreaking loss of her sister, Anne-Marie Trogneau, who died at the age of 92, to whom she was very close. Also, her niece, Christine Haquin, who was 68 years old, passed away just 2 weeks later. Now, I have to tell you that depending on what you're reading, the niece, who was also the daughter of the sister who died, Anne-Marie, Some people are reporting that she died 3 days later. Again, I am not going to assert exactly what day they died, but I can tell you that for certain, what is being reported is that the deaths were back to back, and Brigitte Macron is mourning. And this, for whatever reason, broke in the press on the same day that this lawsuit was filed. Now, I'm going to tell you why people are paying extra attention. And by paying extra attention, I mean kind of maybe a little bit freaking out, especially if you are following this unique story. So one of the theories, going back to that original photo that was taken in Amiens, like the photo that she said, ta-da, look, I was totally a kid. That's me on the lap. That's me and my family in 1953 in Amiens. And then the internet sleuths instantly looked to the left and said, no, that's obviously you, Jean-Michel Trogneau. And then they started positing theories about who the child was that was on Brigitte's lap. We never floated any of the theories, but there were some. And one of the theories, again, that we did not present to you guys, that other journalists did, was that the little girl on the lap, the real identity of that little girl that was on the lap in this now famed 1953 family photo was, in fact, Christine Haquin, okay? The niece, right? So the theory was, and I can show you that this theory was so popular that currently, right now, the Daily Mail reporting on these deaths has presented the family photo with the names on it. I don't know if they know if they've done this or if they're trying to be cheeky here, but they're showing you all the family members, and you can see that they have down there that the person on the lap is either Christine Haquin or Natalie Farcy. Those were the two big theories that were happening on the web. So I don't know why Daily Mail has put this here. Maybe a little bit of shade. Maybe the journalist who published it believes that Jean-Michel Trogneau on the left, they write Jean-Michel Trogneau, a.k.a. Brigitte Trogneau. Yeah, the theory was that that was Christine Haquin. Now, if you're looking, they're saying that in the last couple of weeks, Anne Trogneau, has passed away. Some people reported that it was a cardiac arrest event. And her daughter, would-be daughter, if that theory was correct, has now also passed away, and they said that this was from a long illness. Mother and daughter are now gone, okay? Again, the French press is reporting that Annie Trogneau died on July 3rd and then was buried on the 15th in Amiens, and that Anne-Marie's daughter, Christine, died on July 19th and then was buried on the 25th. So that was 2 days after my lawsuit. Now, you will note, if you look up the story, that there are no pictures available of Anne-Marie, the sister that's passed away, because, as the press tells us, she happens to be the most discreet of the Trogneau clan, even more so than Jean-Michel Trogneau. In fact, the press tells us that she's never been seen. She's never been seen in public since Brigitte Macron assumed office. I guess if we are to take that at face value, if we're supposed to take what Le Figaro is saying at face value, then that would mean that she didn't even attend any of the inaugural events, didn't want to sit across from her sister for whatever reason, and now she's gone, so we can't ask any questions about that. Okay? Something else that people are finding to be odd, and again, we do not have a full picture, so we can't report this as an absolute fact. It does seem a little bit mysterious, but we learned that on that July 25th funeral for her niece, there is some footage of the First Lady, if that's what we're calling her, Brigitte, walking with Emmanuel Macron. And what appears to be missing in this footage, just at first glance, again, there's probably going to be more photos that come out. This has all just happened very quickly and suddenly. No one sees Jean-Michel Trogneau, the person, the little fat guy that they once purported was, in my lawsuit, embedded, the little background footage from the inauguration. They're like, this is Jean-Michel Trogneau. Don't ask any further questions. He's not making it to court to say, hey, look, I'm the real Jean-Michel Trogneau. Leave my sister alone. I love her so much. And at first glance at that footage, it looks like he also didn't make it to his sister's funeral. That's what the chatter is saying online. Again, we would have to do a way deeper dive on that and see if there's more footage and pictures that are available. But you would anticipate, right, that if Brigitte lost her sister, that she might want to maybe be closer to Jean-Michel Trogneau, maybe be seeing the Jean-Michel Trogneau, which is what we've been asking for. Maybe she wouldn't have even had to file this lawsuit because people would have seen them mourning together, right? Like you would expect her to be with her only remaining brother. Because if she's being honest about her identity, it would be just her, Jean-Michel Trogneau, and also Monique Trogneau that are left from that family photo, that now famed family photo. There would be just the 3 siblings left. Anyways, take from that what you will. We're still investigating. Things are happening. Strange events are happening. It could be nothing. Who knows? It, of course, is interesting because, had those 2 individuals have been alive, we may have liked to subpoena them to get a statement to debunk those rumors that it was, in fact, the niece that was sitting on the lap. Also, it would have been really nice if the niece, during all of these legal proceedings that were happening in France, just appeared and said, hey, you guys are being really crazy. That's not me. It's not me sitting on the lap. In fact, that's Brigitte. And I love my aunt very much. And please don't do that. But of course, nobody in the family ever does that. We don't know why. They're just very discreet. So discreet that they would rather watch their sibling, their aunt, suffer publicly than to help clarify some of these rumors. Anyways, that brings me to another interesting tidbit about Emmanuel Macron this time, which was introduced to me by another journalist in France whose name and identity I maybe should not say, just to kind of spare him. Anyways, I'll preface this by saying that one of the really interesting things to consider about Emmanuel Macron is that throughout his entire presidency, there have been so many people and so many rumors that have come out that saying this guy's homosexual. Like Emmanuel Macron is a homosexual. And I know him from here. Here's why I can tell you he's a homosexual. And for whatever reason, Emmanuel Macron doesn't care about that. He's never sued. He's never sent private investigators to potentially jump into people's garbages while they're asleep. I don't know. And so it's a strange anomaly here, right? In fact, there's actually mainstream evidence that the couple even kind of enjoys those rumors. They make jokes to their friends at dinner parties. They make jokes to journalists that have interviewed them. Oh, Brigitte has said before, Emmanuel's not a homosexual, so we don't take offense to that. Ha, 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 ha. They're very lighthearted about the persistent rumors that Emmanuel Macron is into men. When it comes to Brigitte being trans, not so much. We don't know why. Now, apparently, there have been some questions pertaining to Macron's uniquely close relationship with another older Frenchman. He has since passed away. This Frenchman, of course, is not his wife, and his name was Henry Hermand. Fascinating story, okay? So the journalist writes to me that for 14 years, Henry meticulously and lovingly prepared Macron to reach the top of the French state hierarchy. Now, who is Henry Hermand? He's, like I said, he's not alive, he's passed away, but French media acknowledges that he was indeed Macron's mentor. Okay, so this was his mentor. This is a headline you can see right now. Henry Hermand, Emmanuel's mentor, has died. They're reporting on that at the age of 92. So how did he become his mentor? Well, according to my source, in 2002, Hermand, who was at that time 78 years old, unexpectedly met Macron, who was at that time just 25 years old, so 78 and 25, during a cocktail party among bureaucrats in the city of Beauvais, which is not far from the grounds that Hermand had purchased, the former property that was owned by Elie de Rothschild in the 1960s. Okay, it's north of Paris, and Macron was at that time doing an internship at a local government office, and apparently they just immediately hit it off. They decided to become very close friends, a very unique relationship. And between 2002 and 2010, Hermand repeatedly invited Macron to his luxurious villa in Morocco. Interesting. Look, it's interesting given the context. Older guy taking a young guy to Morocco is only interesting because of that French presidential portrait that I can't get out of my head. I can't get out of my head. André Gide, the book in the background, pederasty, Morocco, what he was openly about. But this could be a coincidence, okay? Don't jump to conclusions. I'm just telling you the facts that they traveled together to Morocco. In 2006, Hermand then introduces Macron to the Socialist Party of France. He acquaints him amongst its leaders, including former prime ministers, future heads of state like Francois Hollande, who Macron is soon going to become a cabinet member beneath. Eventually, he's going to succeed Francois Hollande. And Hermand then, in 2007, gifts Macron. At that point, Hermand is 83 years old, and Macron is just 30 years old. He gifts him an apartment, an entire apartment. Could you imagine an 83-year-old man buying a 30-year-old younger lad an apartment in the middle of Paris, smack in the middle of the city center of Paris, okay? And this gift apparently took the form of an interest-free loan amounting to over €500,000. That's really, with mentors like this, that's incredible. And Macron, it has been alleged, has never repaid that, even though he is now a full-time public official, or he was a full-time public official at that time, which would mean that he maybe accepted it illegally, but we don't even have to speculate about that. The point is, this was gifted to him. That same year, Hermand becomes the best man at Macron's wedding to Brigitte. So that's interesting. Macron's now getting married to Brigitte, and Hermand says, I'm going to be the best man, or maybe Macron asked him to be the best man. And not only that, he paid for the entire wedding. Fascinating, okay? Absolutely fascinating that he would pay for the entire wedding. Is it like your dad? What's going on here? This is weird. He then vets the guest list for the wedding. Again, this is Hermand doing this. He vets the guest list for the wedding. He personally selected which hotel in Le Touquet the celebration would take place. He was involved. By the way, I'd love to see more photos from their wedding. I think there's only like 2 or 3 available. That'd be another great thing. If we could just see what guests were at the wedding, that could kind of demystify a lot of things for us. Moving on, in 2016, obviously we know that Macron then begins his election campaign for the presidency of France, and Hermand becomes his main donor and his political advisor. In May, during an interview, Nicolas Sarkozy, who was the former president of France, kind of says something weird in the interview. He kind of hints at Macron's personal life or personal lifestyle. He says, quote, "Macron is cynical. A bit man, a bit woman. It's the trend of the moment. He's androgynous." Okay, guess that's quite chic. It's quite in vogue. Later in September of that year, Henry Hermand gave another now infamous interview. He was speaking to Le Figaro, and he was speaking about his relationship with Macron, their unique relationship. And he said, quote, "I never leave him. Unlike most brilliant men of his age, he didn't have numerous girlfriends. He was not pursued romantically, or at least he refused." Huh? That's kind of confusing that he would say that, right? 2 months after that publication, which was considered quite scandalous at the time, Hermand died. That was November of 2016. And very quickly thereafter, we know Macron and Brigitte attended his funeral. A year later, Macron is elected the president of France, May of 2017. He's now the president of France. And in that same month of his election, there was a writer, a famous Moroccan writer, actually. His name is Tahar Ben Jelin. And he comes out and he says, look, I personally knew Hermand. I knew Henry Hermand. He describes him as a jealous and oppressive homosexual, and also as a sugar daddy to Macron. He says this. This is Macron's sugar daddy. The president of France has a sugar daddy, had a sugar daddy, and that man's name was Henry Hermand. I didn't say that. This guy said that. He said, quote, "I often saw Macron at Hermand's place in Morocco. It was Hermand who discovered him at the École Nationale d'Administration when he was doing an internship at a regional government office somewhere in northern France. Hermand immediately recognized Macron as a freshly minded and ambitious man. From then on, he never let him go. One day, I asked Macron if he had any children, and Hermand got angry at me and said, 'Are you making fun of him?' Macron didn't comment, but I understood that this was not a subject to be joked about." End quote. Again, that quote's not coming from me. That's the famed Moroccan writer, not from Candace Owens. It's a pretty hefty allegation, okay? Sugar daddy for the president. But for whatever reason, the Macrons are not suing him, okay? Being accused of being a homosexual, having a sugar daddy, totally fine or whatever. That's totally cool with them. And that's all I'm going to say about that topic for now. All right, guys, I want to tell you about Riverbend Ranch. I've been talking a lot about Riverbend Ranch because I love their steaks. I told you this. I know some of you guys are really enjoying them. The Black Angus beef is famous for its great flavor. Riverbend Ranch has taken Black Angus beef to a whole new level. Over the last 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been creating an elite Angus herd by using ultrasound to select genetically superior cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness. Each year, Riverbend Ranch provides about 850 elite Black Angus bulls containing these special genetics to over 260 Western U.S. ranches. Those partnership ranches receive a substantial premium from Riverbend Ranch for raising those calves without the use of growth hormones and without any antibiotics. And every fall, the calves containing these elite genetics return to the Riverbend Ranch to spend the following summer in lush mountain pastures. When you purchase from Riverbend Ranch, you are not only supporting the 64 cowboys and their families who work on that ranch, but you're also supporting over 200 other U.S. ranches and the hundreds of American families who work on those ranches. It is born in the USA, raised in the USA, and processed in the USA. The meat is aged to perfection for 21 days, and it's shipped directly from the ranch to your home. It is not your average Black Angus beef. This is more flavorful. It's more tender. It's the best Angus beef I've ever had. I told you guys that. I'm not kidding. You have to try it. So right now you can do that. If you head over to riverbendranch.com and you use promo code Candace at checkout, you'll get $20 off your first order. I promise you're going to be very impressed. So just do it. Visit riverbendranch.com and use promo code Candace. Also, remind you guys about Paleo Valley because something that my team and I are always craving are beef sticks, specifically the ones from my friends at Paleo Valley. Paleo Valley makes their meat sticks with 100% grass-fed beef sourced from small-scale regenerative American farms that you can feel good about what you're eating and what you're supporting as well. They have stripped out all of that junk, no preservatives, there's no gluten, soy, sugar, dairy, no GMOs, of course. It's just clean, nutrient-dense fuel, the way food was meant to be. So whether you're road tripping, working late, or running around with the kids, these sticks deliver high-protein energy without the crash. Whether you're keto, paleo, carnivore, it does not matter. Paleo Valley will work with your lifestyle, not against it. They come in multiple bold flavors, including original, jalapeno, summer sausage, maple bacon, and teriyaki. So there's something for everyone with over 55 million beef sticks already sold. Paleo Valley is trusted, proven, and backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee. Right now, you'll get 20% off your first order at paleovalley.com/Candace. And if you use code Candace at checkout, again, that's paleovalley.com/Candace, promo code Candace at checkout. All right, you guys, I think we are obviously at that point. We realize people in power are just insane. But it does make it interesting to sort of consider the people that they're always attacking the hardest. And one of those people, without question, is Kanye West. Now, actually, I should say the artist formerly known as Kanye West because he just goes by Ye. But I can't really throw out Kanye West because his early catalog just meant so much to me when I was growing up. So I think I have to always say Kanye West. I'm so sorry, Ye, that I have to do that. Anyways, it's interesting because now that we're learning the truth, people that we thought were crazy, like Michael Jackson being another person, you go back and you go, what was Michael Jackson trying to tell us about Hollywood? We read Hollywood Babylon and we're like, ah. And then you have someone like Ye who has been standing up to Hollywood for a very long time and has kind of faced almost exactly the same accusations of insanity. And he doesn't make it easy not to call him that. Of course, he gives them just so much fuel, I would say. So many bullets because he's just walking around with Bianca. She's half naked. And so they're like, he's insane. He's deranged. He needs to be put on a Psych 5150 hold. And then he drops a documentary. And I have to tell you, as a fan of Ye, as someone who has followed his career for a very long time, I'm very inspired by him and the things that he has stood up to. He kind of gave me the audacity to be myself. I just love this trailer. And I wanted to show it to you because maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my own personal attachment to him. But I think the trailer is really inspiring. Take a look.
I'm off my meds for 5 months now.
Your personality was not like this a few years ago.
It's a calling by the universe. Never tell me I'm gonna wake up one day and have nothing.
We can talk about that later, but...
It ain't no but. When I went to the hospital, one of the ideas was to do a church.
Yeah, I just been embarrassed or ashamed to cry, man.
When we're at the prisons professing how Jesus can set you free, it's true. Thank you, Jesus.
I decided to run. I almost killed my daughter.
I'd rather be dead than to be on medication.
Either they destroy me or I destroy it.
It's a sad dream.
They're killing our ability to think outside of the box.
And I'm almost like a masochist.
I write whatever I want, when I want. It's words.
You know, the best thing about being an artist and bipolar, anything you do and say is an art piece.
I mean, inwhosenamemovie.com. I'm very much looking forward to it. I am just very much looking forward to it because I just know what he was standing up to. I know what they did to him. I know what Harley Pasternak did to him. I've covered that. And truly, I believe that they gave him the disorder that he has, given everything I've learned about Sigmund Freud. You hear, I think, Kim in the beginning say that he's not the same as he was a few years ago. Yeah, because a gym trainer, put him on a Psych 5150 hold and they drugged him because he was reading a Bible. That might be relevant to why he's not the same. I mean, over my dead body, would somebody grab my husband out of a house who's a gym trainer and tell me he needs to go to a hospital? I mean, literally over my dead body. Anyways, that documentary was filmed by Nico Ballesteros, who started working on this documentary in 2018. Nico was just 18 years old. I actually met Nico. And I'm wondering if I'm going to be in this documentary because I see he's wearing the White Lives Matter shirt. And obviously I wore that with him. But what I can tell you is Nico just films 24/7. He doesn't make a peep. He just holds the camera and films 24/7. So he was at this house filming when a lot of stuff was going down. I know that Ye never clears content. So I could be in there. Who knows? And yeah, when they were pulling the Adidas deal from him, the Gap deal from him, when his marriage was ending with Kim, he was here. And it was hard for me to watch him go through everything and see what I felt. I genuinely felt that they were taking everything away from him. And I didn't understand why he was insisting that it all get burned down. And then I think I've told the story before, but I'll never stop telling it because it's one of the most incredible things. Because after Gap announced that they were then canceling the deal, it was like, cancel. And I called him and I wanted to just know if he was okay. I figured he'd be a puddle on the floor. And he just said, I'm finally free. And obviously he has had the perspective, he's understood, and maybe in his own artistic way, that we are all enslaved. Like, this is a matrix. As we cover the Epstein story, as we read Hollywood Babylon, as we realize how sinister the people are that rule over us, they enslave us. Do what we say or else. We're going to harm you in some capacity. We're going to come after everything you have. It's always the financial threat. And I have felt that so much in the last 2 years. And I finally feel free because they can't take anything from me because I own everything. And I understand his message so much more now than when it was all happening. And that's why you need to have people that are brave, because it inspires you to be brave. When the world is coming down on you, when the matrix is coming down on you for telling the truth, it commits you further to screaming it. And I really don't think that if Ye didn't go first and jump off of a cliff, that I would have similarly jumped off of a cliff and just said, you know what, I'd rather just be free. And we did it in different ways. And obviously he lived through so much more than I did. I only now, in the context of learning about Sigmund Freud and what he created in terms of gaslighting people, and then us reading Chaos and learning that they were creating a cocktail of drugs that could give people mental disorders like schizophrenia and like bipolar disorder. You can only imagine what he's lived through. It's, like I said, way, way more than I lived through. But I wanted to show you guys that and encourage you guys when it comes out. Obviously, I have not seen it. I have no idea what's in it. To just support freedom. Maybe get a different perspective of what somebody has lived through and challenge yourself to weigh it against the media depictions. I have to say, since becoming I guess not a parent, but now that I'm so interested in history, and that's honestly part of becoming a Catholic, and now that I collect Bibles that are from 1885, because I know that they're slowly editing things and we're losing information and we are becoming dumber, I really think when we learn in the Bible that Satan is the author of lies and deception, author really rings especially true. Like, writing. It's so deceptive. They lie about our history. They tell us to hate people that have the potential to free us, to free our minds, to make us recognize how the society really works. It's satanic, like the authoring of lies. People that hold the pen hold so much power. Anyways, I'm just giving you a little rant here because I was very inspired by that trailer and I look forward to watching it. Told you guys, I think yesterday, that's going to be a shortened episode today because I'm going away for my anniversary, but I want to read some of your comments. First, I'm going to tell you guys about Nimi because as many of you guys know, I love Nimi skincare. Just when I thought that their products could not get any better, Nimi launched their brand new tallow line and it sold out in under 3 hours, which is crazy, just under 3 hours. I called them directly and there's good news because it's finally back in stock, but only while supplies last. If you don't know, tallow is incredibly similar to our skin's natural structure. That means the essential vitamins A, D, E, and K are bioavailable and easy to absorb. It helps repair the skin barrier, locks in moisture, and delivers powerful anti-inflammatory benefits. Nimi takes it a step further by infusing that tallow with natural essential oils, which makes it even more luxurious and effective. Their 2 new products are the Sunshine Tallow Cream, a lightweight whipped face cream that absorbs quickly. It's perfect under makeup, and their Buzzin' Tallow Balm, which is a rich balm that forms a protective barrier to seal in moisture and deeply repair your skin. Nimi Skincare is proudly American, conservative-owned, and grounded in values of faith, family, and freedom. It's skincare for those of us who want our dollars to reflect our values. I already love Nimi, and I'm proud to support their mission of creating cleaner, better-for-you skincare. These new tallow products are just the beginning, so do not wait. Head to nimiskincare.com and use my code Candace10, and you'll save 10% on your order. Start supporting companies that stand for what you believe in. With Nimi, you're not just getting beautiful skin, you're getting skincare without compromise. That's NIMI skincare.com and use my code Candace10. Also reminding you guys about American financing because costs are rising on everything, gas, groceries, home repairs. And if you're a homeowner, you've probably thought, should I maybe call American Financing and refinance and pay off this credit card debt and then maybe second guess yourself because you're enjoying a low mortgage rate? But the reality is that low mortgage rate is not saving you if you're drowning in credit card interest at 25% or more. That's the math that most people don't want to do, but it's costing you thousands. The truth is that if you're only making minimum payments, the debt's going to follow you around for years. That's why people are calling American Financing because they're saving customers an average of $800 a month by using their equity to finally break free from credit card debt. You owe it to your family to see what you could be saving. There's no upfront fees. There's no pressure. It will cost you nothing to find out what you might save every month. And if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So call American Financing today. The number is 800-795-1210. Again, 800-795-1210, or just visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. americanfinancing.net/Owens. All right, let's look at some of your comments from episodes past. First, this person writes, "Dear Candace, please ask Julian Assange what he meant when he said that he had, quote unquote, interesting information on Emmanuel Macron." Yeah, I didn't know that until you commented this, and that is super interesting. Obviously, we know Julian faced a full Matrix attack. Governments worldwide came after him for the WikiLeaks, the emails, and he did, apparently I hadn't realized this, that he did say that there was some interesting information on Emmanuel Macron. And you're not going to guess who thereafter got involved to, quote unquote, help Julian Assange. You're not going to believe me. Guess what lawyer got involved? Eric Dupond-Moretti. How crazy. Eric Dupond-Moretti got involved with Julian Assange, ostensibly to help him because he believes journalists should be able to speak freely. That's all I can say. I'll just give you the facts. Yeah, somebody had offered, maybe it was just that Emmanuel was gay. And I'm like, all politicians are gay. Like, that's not that interesting, right? Like, when everything is being gay, doesn't mean anything. That's not going to, also, it's Paris. Like, that's going to be, okay. Like, what? He's bisexual. They would have loved that. Emmanuel Macron wouldn't have cared. I don't know what that interesting information was, but I do know that similarly, don't forget when Trump had the files taken from Mar-a-Lago, it was also being reported that he found out something that caused transatlantic panic. You know what? I wish I had remembered that when Trump called me about Emmanuel Macron, because I would have asked. I would have been like, well, what was in those files, though? Mr. President, what did you find in those files that was interesting, that caused a transatlantic panic? I don't know. Anyways, Hannah writes, calling someone a Republican, conservative, or on the right just doesn't hit like the diss that they think it is anymore. So agree. I just think it's actually It's almost low IQ. I can't believe I ever fell for the left versus right paradigm. I feel very dumb to have fallen for that for a very long time. I'm sure we all do. We're like, oh, this person's enemy, this person's enemy. And they're just at the top, like, don't care. We control both sides. We're going to do whatever we want. And now we realize it's us versus them. Severed Culture writes, I'm going to open a new bank account. And when they ask me for 2 pieces of ID, I'm just going to give them a local newspaper clipping of me with my high school volleyball team from 1995. That is so funny and such an accurate depiction of the absurdity of Brigitte Macron being like, proof that I've always existed. Here's a photo of me and my family that appeared in a newspaper. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's not proof of identification. Ma'am, this is not proof of identification, sir, ma'am, sir. Next user writes, as someone who worked at major media outlets for decades, I can attest that Candace is correct when she says the media is at war with the truth. Yes. So when you see them at war with someone, maybe support them. Maybe look beyond the headlines and assume that there is a truth that they want you to hide. Because when they just raise up like a tidal wave and go after someone, it's never because they're like, wow, this person is genuinely bad. It's because they fear something. They are trained assassins. Messy mathematician writes, to prove I'm a girl, I'm going to submit a receipt from 1996 that shows I bought tampons from Walgreens. Case closed. I don't see how anybody could ever question that you're a woman if you have that receipt, especially if it's from Walgreens. I don't see that is evidence. You should actually contact Brigitte with these ideas. I think the Alizé Palace would love this. Like, well, you haven't even thought about that. Let's just send an intern down to Walgreens, keep the receipt, and say case closed. Toxic Hammer Toe. How are you guys coming up with these names, honestly? Writes, Alex Jones brought out that Monica Lewinsky was Mossad. It totally makes sense now. Wow. Honestly, how does he have all of this information? Like, that's another thing. Another thing, when you're younger, you're like, Alex Jones is crazy. And then as you get older, you're like, I think Alex Jones has been trying to expose everything for a very long time. I like Alex Jones. I just did a show last week, actually, and I did not know that. Now I'm going to have to go down the Alex Jones, Monica Lewinsky rabbit hole because I thought I was presenting that information for the first time yesterday, and clearly I was not. Next up, Bren writes, I was recently in France, and we were talking to a French waiter about all kinds of things. So I asked him if he thought that Brigitte was a man. He said, everyone in France knows she's a man. I know. It's crazy. The French people are behind me like never before. They actually hate their media. I can't believe that the media has been complicit with this because it just makes you go, why do I even read the media? We shouldn't. We should not be reading the media. Obviously, the mainstream media is totally useless. They tell us nothing that we don't already know. And when they tell us, it's because the state has sanctioned them going, oh, we just missed it. We really did believe that it was impossible for Brigitte to just present some photos from like a 40-year period in her life. We really did think it was hard. And yeah, that is what they will likely do at some point, to pretend that they were always committed to truth and transparency. Allie Agnes writes, Milo has been through hell. She's referring to my interview with Milo Yiannopoulos. I sat down with him for a live episode last week. We also shot some content that we haven't released. The real reason that I was having him on is because I wanted to discuss Hollywood Babylon with him and homosexuality. This person writes, Milo has been through hell. He was sexually assaulted when he was a young boy by a priest. It messed him up, the trauma. The fact that he came back to the faith is amazing. He's always been outspoken and passionate. He has been on a self-awareness program for years. He has my mad respect. Look, he still has a lot of struggles. He was very honest about that. We talked about a lot of that off record because he was very mean to me. And Milo, I sense he has this anger in him, and he admits it. He admits, I don't have to sense it because he admits it, that, you know, he can lash out, and it's something that he's working on. And it is interesting to hear him speak about homosexuality after having read Hollywood Babylon. I think you guys are really going to love that episode. We're just pre-submitting it to YouTube because we want to make sure that we don't get hit because it's talking about homosexuality post the 90s, you have to say, like, people are born this way. And a lot of gay people don't agree with that. A lot of people think that it can be a childhood trauma, which is the reason. It could be because, you know, maybe you were harmed by a man that a woman chooses to be a lesbian. But those conversations, for whatever reason, are instantly shut down because they say they could harm someone if they think that, you know, they're not born this way. And so I wanted to really have a courageous conversation with someone who had that perspective. And Milo was that individual. So we'll see what YouTube comes back with. If not, we'll obviously release it on our website, as we always do, if YouTube is acting funny. Hi Guys writes, 20 years from now, your kids are going to be so proud of their mommy. I hope so. because toddlers are savages and they just say stuff right now. Like if you ever need to humble thyself, go sit down with a toddler. They would tell you about yourself in 4 seconds. And they are at that age right now. Lastly, Willie Fungo writes, I love how Candace still uses the word gay like a true millennial. Never let that fade. Oh no, we're never letting it fade, ladies and gents. We're never letting it fade. They took it from us and we're taking it back, okay? Because everything is fake and gay. It was a fun word. We were all saying it. Heterosexuals, homos, everybody was saying fake and gay in the 90s. And they took that from us. And we know who took that from us. The mean people, very mean people took that from us because they didn't want us to be happy like we were in the 90s. All right, you guys, again, if you'd like to support our work and our journalism, please go to CandaceOwens.com, buy yourself a t-shirt, free Emmanuel. Of course, that's the moment. Free him. We see one another in this grocery store. And we just go, we know. We're waiting on this lawsuit. We're going to see what's happening. We've got some interesting stuff planned for the lawsuit. I'm looking forward to filing our response. I think our deadline is in early September or something. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to go enjoy my anniversary. We'll keep you guys posted. Or we'll see you guys next week.